Learn English through story. Helen Keller, she could not see or hear. Hello and welcome. I am very happy you are here today. This video is made especially for people who want to improve their English through stories. Whether you are a beginner or at an intermediate level, this story will help you practice your reading and listening. Today you will hear the powerful story of Helen Keller. She was a little girl who could not see. She could not hear. And for a long time she could not speak clearly, but her life did not end in silence. With the help of a patient teacher, Helen learned how to understand words, how to read, how to write, and how to speak to the world. Her story teaches us that even when life is dark, hope can still grow. As you listen, try to follow the words carefully. Notice the simple sentences, the useful vocabulary, and the natural rhythm of English. You can pause the video, repeat the sentences, and practice speaking aloud. This is not only a story about English learning. It is also a story about courage, patience, and never giving up. So get comfortable, open your heart and mind, and let us begin the story of Helen Keller. Chapter 1. A Girl in a World of Light. Helen Keller was born in 1880 in a small town in Alabama in the United States. When she was a baby, the world was full of light and sound. She could see her mother's face. She could hear people talking. She could listen to birds in the trees and feel the warm sunshine on her skin. Her family loved her very much. She was a bright and curious child. She liked to look around. She liked to touch things. She wanted to know everything about the world. But when Helen was only 19 months old, something terrible happened. She became very sick. Her fever was high. Her family was worried. Doctors came and went. Her parents stayed beside her, hoping she would live. After many days, the fever finally left her body. Helen survived, but everything had changed. She could no longer see. She could no longer hear. The bright world became dark. The world of sound became silent. Helen was still very young. She did not understand what had happened. She could not ask questions. She could not hear answers. She could not see the faces of the people who loved her. Her parents were heartbroken. They wanted to help her, but they did not know how. Helen was trapped in a world without words. Chapter 2. The Silent Years. As Helen grew older, life became harder. She wanted things, but she could not explain what she wanted. She wanted food. She wanted water. She wanted comfort. She wanted to understand the world around her, but she had no language. So she cried, she screamed, she became angry. Sometimes she threw things, sometimes she pushed people away. She was not a bad child. She was a child who could not communicate. Imagine having many feelings inside you, but no words to express them. Imagine wanting to say, "I am scared," but no one understands. Imagine wanting to ask, "What is this?" but you cannot hear the answer. This was Helen's life. Her family loved her, but they were tired and worried. Some people thought Helen could never learn. Some people believed she would always live in darkness and silence, but her mother did not give up. She believed there was still a mind inside Helen. She believed her daughter could learn. She believed there had to be a way. And one day help came. Chapter 3. The Teacher Arrives. When Helen was 7 years old, a young teacher came to her home. Her name was Anne Sullivan. Anne was only 20 years old, but she understood suffering. When she was young, she had problems with her own eyes. She had lived through loneliness and pain. Because of this, Anne had patience. She had strength. And most importantly, she believed that Helen could learn. When Anne first met Helen, it was not easy. Helen did not understand who Anne was. She did not know that this young woman had come to help her. Helen was strong-willed and angry. She did not like being controlled, but Anne did not leave. She stayed. Every day, Anne tried to teach Helen words by spelling letters into Helen's hand. For example, Anne would place a doll in Helen's hand. Then she would spell the word DOLL into Helen's palm. Helen copied the finger movements, but she did not understand. To Helen, they were just strange signs. She did not know that each object had a name. Anne tried again and again. Doll, cup, bread, mother. Teacher, but Helen still did not understand the secret of language. Anne knew the breakthrough would take time. She was patient but firm. She did not give up on Helen. Chapter 4. The word that changed everything. One day Anne took Helen outside. They walked to a water pump. Anne placed one of Helen's hands under the cool water. The water flowed over Helen's fingers. At the same time, Anne spelled WATER into Helen's other hand. Water. Again, Anne spelled it. WATER. Suddenly, something happened inside Helen's mind. For the first time, she understood. The cool thing flowing over her hand had a name. It was water. Everything had a name. The world opened. Helen later described this moment as the moment her soul woke up. She touched the ground. Anne spelled the word, earth. She touched a tree. Anne spelled the word tree. She touched Anne. Anne spelled the word teacher. Helen wanted to know everything. She ran from object to object, asking for names with her hands. Her dark, silent world was no longer empty. It was full of meaning. That day changed Helen's life forever. A single word opened the door: water. Chapter 5. Learning like fire. After the water pump moment, Helen learned quickly. She wanted words the way a thirsty person wants water. Anne spelled words into her hand every day. Helen learned names of things, then actions, then feelings, then ideas. She learned that language was not only for objects, it was also for love, for sadness, for hope, for dreams. Helen learned to read by touching raised letters. Later, she learned Braille, a system of raised dots that blind people can read with their fingers. Reading gave Helen a new world. Books became her windows. She could not see the pages with her eyes, but she could see them with her mind. She read stories, poems, history, and science. Every book became a new light in her darkness. But learning was not always easy. Some days were frustrating. Some words were difficult. Some ideas were hard to understand. Helen made mistakes, but she kept trying. Anne stayed beside her, guiding her with patience. Helen was not learning because life was easy. She was learning because life was hard, and learning gave her freedom. Chapter 6. Finding her voice. Helen wanted more than reading and writing. She wanted to speak. This was very difficult because Helen could not hear sounds. Most people learn to speak by listening first, but Helen could not listen. Still, she wanted to try. She placed her fingers on other people's lips and throats to feel the movement of speech. She felt vibration. She felt breath. She felt how words were formed. Then she practiced. Again and again. Her voice was not perfect. Some people had trouble understanding her, but Helen did not stop. She wanted to be part of the speaking world. She wanted to communicate not only with her hands, but also with her voice. This took courage. Many people are afraid to speak a new language because they might make mistakes. Helen had a much greater challenge, but she still tried. Her story reminds us of something important. You do not need to speak perfectly to be brave. You become brave by speaking even when it is hard. Chapter 7. The student who would not quit. Helen's dream grew bigger. She wanted to go to school. She wanted to study with other students. She wanted to prove that a deaf and blind person could learn deeply. This was not common at that time. Many people doubted her. They thought it was impossible. But Helen had already learned one powerful lesson. Impossible things can become possible when someone refuses to give up. With Anne's help, Helen studied many subjects. She learned English, history, math, literature, and foreign languages. Anne went with her to class and spelled the teacher's words into Helen's hand. Can you imagine that? While the teacher spoke, Anne quickly spelled the lesson into Helen's palm. Helen had to understand, remember, and study everything through touch. It was slow, it was difficult, it was exhausting, but Helen kept going. In 1904, Helen Keller graduated from Radcliffe College. She became the first deafblind person to earn a Bachelor of Arts degree. This was not only her success, it was a message to the world. Do not decide what someone can become before giving them a chance. Chapter 8. Turning Pain into Purpose. After college, Helen did not choose a quiet life. She could have stayed away from the world. She could have said, "I have suffered enough." But she did not. Instead, she used her life to help others. She became a writer. She became a speaker. She became an advocate for people with disabilities. She traveled to many places. She met people from different countries. She spoke about education, courage, and human dignity. She wanted blind and deaf people to have more opportunities. She wanted society to see their abilities, not only their disabilities. Helen knew what it felt like to be misunderstood, so she spent her life helping others be understood. Her pain became her purpose. This is one of the most powerful lessons from her life. Sometimes the thing that hurts you can become the thing that helps you help others. Chapter 9. The Power of One Teacher. Helen Keller's story is also the story of Anne Sullivan. Without Anne, Helen's life might have been very different. Anne did not just teach Helen words, she gave Helen patience. She gave Helen discipline. She gave Helen belief. When other people saw a difficult child, Anne saw a bright mind. When others saw darkness, Anne saw possibility. This is why one teacher can change a life. A good teacher does not only give information. A good teacher opens a door. Anne opened the door of language for Helen. And once that door opened, Helen walked through it with all her strength. For the rest of her life, Helen loved Anne deeply. Their bond was more than teacher and student. It was friendship, trust, and love. Helen became famous, but she never forgot the person who first believed in her. Chapter 10. The Real Meaning of Light. Helen Keller lived in physical darkness, but her life was full of light. She could not see the sun, but she brought hope to millions. She could not hear music, but her words still touched people's hearts. She could not live an easy life, but she lived a meaningful one. Her story teaches us that success is not about having a perfect life. Success is about what you do with the life you have. Helen did not choose her blindness. She did not choose her deafness. She did not choose her early suffering, but she chose to learn. She chose to grow. She chose to help others. That was her victory. Today, people still remember Helen Keller because she showed the world that limitations do not have to destroy dreams. Her life says, even in darkness you can find light. Even in silence you can find a voice. Even in difficulty you can find purpose. Ending. Thank you so much for watching and listening today. I hope you enjoyed the story of Helen Keller and found it helpful for your English practice. As you listened, you learned simple but powerful English sentences. You also learned an important life lesson. Never believe that your situation is the end of your story. Helen Keller could not see. She could not hear, but she learned, she grew, and she changed the world. Your English journey may also feel difficult sometimes. Maybe you forget words. Maybe you feel shy when speaking. Maybe you think progress is too slow. But remember this, every word you learn is a step forward. Every sentence you practice makes you stronger. Every time you listen again, your English improves. Learning English is not about being perfect. It is about continuing. So keep reading, keep listening, keep speaking, and never give up. Thank you for spending your time learning English with me today. Have a wonderful day, and I hope to see you in the next story. Goodbye for now and keep learning.